If I was a songwriter, if I was an artist, sure, I probably could have done that. I'm not any of those things, and I
Well,
know that.
it's interesting because I remember you sent me the Insufferable stuff that you're doing, and those two songs. And I remember like I was texting you about all doing listening to it now, and the first thing I said to you was, "Wow, your voice sounds as great as it ever has." And then I was like, "How do you still do this?" And all you wrote me back was, "I don't know." And so
Yeah,
it's so interesting to me, like it's like that look, like you're still, and in fact someone, I want to say that it was Scott Weingart, someone was saying about you back like in the day. They were like, it's crazy because he can get on stage and sing like that, then he gets off stage, walks over, his voice is all normal again, he's like, yeah, so where are we gonna go eat? Like it's almost
yeah,
like you become this other thing on stage.
yeah. No, I mean, again, I think it is. I mean, I know it sounds cliche because everybody says it, but like it really is like this therapeutic thing for me. Um,
And is
but
it
yeah, like
still that? Is
I,
it still that? Like even now, like years
yeah, it is.
later?
And here's the difference, right? Like back then, I could do two bands and always be playing because my life was shit, right? Like I was so depressed, things were so dark for me. That's what I write about, like that. So because it's that therapy, and so now I don't like. I still put. I've continued to put out records with different projects and bands this whole time, but it's years between each other because like I have to be in like something has to be occurring in my life or in the world around me that where I feel like all right, I have to like let something out here, and that's when records happen.
So how did
Otherwise,
this new thing
like I said, like
happen?
you can send me like amazing songs, and I could be like, "Oh my god, I would love to do this," but like I'm not a writer, so I'm feeling if everything in my life is great and everything in the world is great, like I don't have anything to write about, so I end up passing on the vast majority of it, even though I listen to it and go, God, like how, like I should be, I'm honored that people ask me to maybe play on those songs, but I'm like, if I can't make them better than what they are now, and if I don't have something to express, like I can't just write a song. I'm not a songwriter. I'm not a writer.
You know, I remember Popeye was talking about that. There was one of the Far Side albums. I don't know which one it was, but I remember him saying exactly what you just said. He was all like, it's gotten harder to write lyrics just because where he was in his life, like things were good. And it was like that thing. And I think that is something that is, I don't think it's unique to hardcore, but I think it's very common in this music that that thing inside you has to be there because it the music and every, you know, it's so real.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting. Like I remember at one point, like I was talking to Justin, who played in the Judas Factor. He played guitar with me, and he was like, "Oh, we should play a show sometime. Like it'd be fun." And I was like, "I can never play those songs again." Like those songs, I mean, that record, the Ballads of Blue China record, is probably one of the most important records to me that I ever made because I needed to like I like that was when things were really like I was really at like the tipping point. It was either gonna get better or I was not gonna make it anymore. And that record like saved me, but I could never play those songs because it just like if even if I hear them like once in a while, I have my iPod or my iPhone on shuffle. If one of those songs comes on, I can't listen to it
Is that the
because
same
it's
for the
re-
second record? Is that the same for the second record too? Like Kiss Suicide? Like I mean, is that whole period just sort of
yeah, honestly, I've never listened to that record again. Like again, like yeah, like that whole period is just too painful. But that ballads record was like I'd say probably of all the records I've done, it's probably in the top two because of how instrumental it was in like me unburdening myself to some degree and getting where I am today. But I could never play those songs again. Like, I mean, I guess I could, but like I just hearing like some of those songs like makes me like puts me in a dark place.
right?
No, it was like literally what saved my life.
That is no, and thank you. I'm seriously, Rob. Thank you for talking about all this because that's important. And I remember seeing you guys at that PCH club in Wilmington on that Judas Factor tour. And I mean, dude, you guys were freaking. It was awesome, and you guys were into it. I think Chris Zuzai was on bass or something, or
No, well, Chris Hughes, I played guitar for a while, but he played guitar like before the Ballads record.
okay,
Uh, so if it was on a tour, because PCH was in California,
yeah, it
right?
was in Wilmington. But I
Okay,
mean, I don't know if you remember. It was
yeah, it
yeah,
was Little Dave from Resurrection played bass.
yes, 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 yes. I
Yeah, but
just
even that, I suffered so much on that tour because like it was like playing those songs, like you know what I mean. Like there's a certain part where like there's a therapy in writing something about trauma that is like very freeing, but then to have to keep doing it every night can sometimes have the opposite effect, and it started to. And so yeah, like just I mean again, like I'm incredibly thankful for that, but I can't. It's hard for me to even think of revisiting it. Where 108 is kind of a different thing in that it equally as it was I was in a pretty similar dark place, but I wasn't necessarily directly addressing why. Where Thousand Blue China was like that entire record was directly expressing why I was so troubled.
so. How does your new band Insufferable happen? Because you told me you guys are all spread out. Like
Yeah,
how? Like did someone
yeah. So
contact you? And
yes, so Dave, the guitar player, he lives in Montreal, and I think at some point, you know, over a year ago, he hit me up and he was like, "Hey, like we should do a project together." And again, like I'm always open to trying something, or at least listening to it to see if anything gets triggered. And luckily during that period, there were just some things, and again, it wasn't really my personal life. My personal life's pretty goddamn amazing. Like I've got no problems there. But like, you know, whether it was, you know, the overturning of Roe versus Wade or things of that nature that were just really unsettling to me, like he sent me a song and I was like, and again, like for me, like when I hear a song right away, I know like if it's even a possibility that I can do something with it. In that, like I feel like the energy of the song should tell me right then and there what the song is about. And it might take a while to like figure out how to articulate it, but I know it, and I knew it. And so like yeah, he sent me some songs, and I was like, all right, and I went and recorded. I actually recorded it. I think in I went to this guy's house that has a studio. He's like does sound for like Converge and Cave In and a bunch. You know, I think he used to do songs, do sound for like Power Trip, and he has a studio not far from my house. So I went and recorded the songs, and I was like, all right, like this is cool. Like let's put this out. And so yeah, like we hooked up with this guy Ryan who plays bass, lives down in North Carolina. Dave, you know, I think I had met him before, but Dave knew him and interacted with him, so he played bass on it. And you know, I guess we're doing it as an EP with Iodine Records out of I think they're originally out of Massachusetts, but I don't think they live there anymore. And then you know they just sent me songs for an LP, so we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, we'll have an EP that will come out sometime early next year, and then you know most likely an LP that I'll start writing probably after the beginning of the year.
so it sounds like today what brings out that anger is more the outward stuff as opposed
Yeah,
to
yeah. I mean, there's still like internal things, right? But my internal stuff is probably more reflecting back on things than it is about like my like again, my life is I've got a job that I'm good at that you know takes care of my family and I. I've got a wife that I love more than anything in this world, and you know we laugh and have fun every day, no matter what. My kids are you know grown up and individuals and you know making their way in the world, and like I'm incredibly proud of that. And I've got you know I'm a bit of an introvert. I don't go out much. I don't have like a million and one friends, but the friends I have are incredibly like dear to me, and I've got nothing to complain about. Like I get to travel a lot, you know, with work, but then you know because I travel so much with work, like I get to you know my wife flies out maybe you know if I'm traveling all week in a different city, she'll fly out on a Thursday and we'll stay the weekend, and it's all free because my air miles and hotel miles, and we go to Europe every year and spend some time there, just exploring, going to different countries, and just walking around and getting food and walking around and just like experiencing it, because that's what I missed, right? Like I went to all these amazing countries and I was depressed. I didn't experience it. So it's really a big deal to me to go out and experience things and interact with people. And, even like when I travel, like I realized like at first I always would just travel and sit in my hotel room all night and work. And now when I travel, like I'll look up and go, okay, what old friends do I have in this area? And like, let's go out, let's like hit them up and see if they want to go out to dinner or walk around or something, and just like reconnect and realize like how lucky I've been, because I've done all these things musically and I have no fucking talent. Like my talent is I can scream, right? And I have an energy that connected with these songs that these other musicians and artists put together, and people enjoyed it, and that I'm honored by that. And so when I have the opportunity to go and even when bands come here, like a lot of times I don't necessarily go to the show, but it's like let's go out to dinner, like let's hang out. You need a place to stay at our house, like I appreciate that. I like to try to connect that way with people.